This video contains spoilers. Guys, I finally watched The Herd, and this movie dragged me through so many emotions, tension, anxiety, stress. Before we carry on, type Herd in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So this is my review on The Herd. Let's get into it. So for those of you who haven't seen The Herd, it's a Nollywood thriller by Tori Tori Films and Film One Studios. It follows the story of some friends and strangers who were kidnapped in Ekiti State, Nigeria, by unknown gunmen. This story was a very humbling, scary, and sober movie that kept me on my toes throughout. Let me tell you that this movie is engaging. The plot of The Herd majorly follows the families of the people that have been kidnapped, what they do in the days past after the kidnapping. It also shows the story from the side of the kidnappers, which I think it was a very refreshing perspective to actually watch a story from the kidnapper's perspective. The story of broken family ties, insecurity in Nigeria, all these topics were touched in this movie. Now, these kids, this is their very first time kidnapping. They've never done this before. They broke out of a group called She. They tried to claim their own territory in Ekiti State and start kidnapping there. In this story, I really appreciated the fact that they showed how difficult it was or it is for families of people that have been kidnapped to raise ransom, because 50 million naira is no joke in this economy. And some random person who just kidnapped somebody's husband is just asking them to bring 50 million naira. That is crazy. Something else that really touched me in this movie was the ability to see life through the eyes of a victim that has been kidnapped but not been rescued for years, and see how that type of person is experiencing life in one of the characters, Habiba, played by Amar Umar. This story actually consists of multiple main characters, but if you were to ask me who the main character of this movie was, I would say Gozie. Gozie is a very loving, committed husband who was best man to his friends Derry and Fola on their wedding day, played by Daniel Etim Effiong. I don't know if you know this, but he was also the director of this movie. I've seen Daniel Etimefong in a lot of movies recently. That man is working endlessly. But I never knew that he actually directs as well. I don't know if this is his debut or if he's been directing for years. Please let me know in the comment section. We also had Kule Remy in this movie, very, very briefly. He was barely in the movie, just like two scenes. He was abruptly killed in the second scene of the movie, which was, I think for me, it was a very shocking scene to watch, watching them kill that character of the character of Fola. So next person I want to talk about is Darren and Fola. Darren and Fola were this beautiful couple that had just gotten married in the beginning of the movie, and leaving their wedding, they encountered kidnappers, and sadly Fola gets shot to death. One of the most shocking things for me that involved Fola was when the kidnappers asked Bosi to ask him. I almost threw up. And that scene where they showed his hand after they were done, there was a lot, you guys. Viewer discretion is advised. I love the character Darren, played by Genoviva Umi, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I thought she acted so well. The grieving widow act that she pulled through this movie was so beautiful. Now, some of the characters I really hated in this movie, or the characters I felt like the writers wanted me to hate, I low-key hated Gozi and Adama, because it felt to me like the writers were trying to make you look like they were into something shady, but the movie ended and they were not. So I think I'll blame the writers, because if the characters were blameless, why did they make Adama such a liar and Gozie like a thief? And Gozie made a statement in the beginning of the movie of him saying something about he has something in the works, which misled me, because I thought Gozie was the one who paid the herdsmen to, carry out the act, just for me to find out at the end that he had nothing to do with it. Like, does this movie have a part two or something? Because I still think Gozie is guilty. Because you cannot set up somebody to look guilty so much, and then at the end you're like, oh no, it was just coincidence. Adama would go somewhere and tell somebody, oh, my husband has only 10 million in his account. You go somewhere and tell another person, oh, my husband has only 15 million in his account. Adama, please, which is it? The man had 25 million in his account that he stole from his business partner. But why are you lying? Like, so for me, that part of the story did not make any sense, because I don't understand. See, let me tell you something. There are a lot of things that Adama did in this movie that I don't get. Because why didn't she want to reach out to her uncles for help? Like, what kind of traumatic history must she have had with her uncles that she needed 50 million? And she rather have met with her husband's family that disowned him. Some of the shocking characters to me in this movie were Gozie's parents, played by Robert Young and Tina Mba. I really hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I was so surprised, because you found out that your child had been kidnapped. Why is this? Why is this your reaction? Why were they so? indifferent, uninterested in the entire thing. To be honest, I was really taken aback because I did not expect for the life of me for them to even behave the way that they did.
When both of you got married, did you think you'll be needing us?
They had the energy to even try to be negotiating terms and services with Adama as if something was happening. And I'm like, your child is about to die. I think all the actors in this movie did really, really well, including the people that had smaller roles, which includes the NYSC copper. Her worried face when she was talking during the kidnapping scene. Fola's dad, played by Patrick Doyle, he really impressed me in the scene, in his crying scene, where he was informed that Fola was dead. When he started crying, honestly, it got me in shambles. I almost started crying with him because his acting in that moment was so real. It didn't feel performative at all. Other characters that stood out to me were the villains as well. I specifically really liked the person who played Anas, played by Ibrahim Abubakar. This character was so bloodthirsty. I don't know why he wanted people to die so much. And for me, he was like the wildest of wild cards because he's just this very angry person that just really loves violence. Another character that I really liked was Habiba. I think her very stoic acting was very, very good. And to be honest, watching the movie, I could not predict her story until the story was told. When they later confirmed that she was one of the victims that was actually given to Hassan in marriage, my jaw was on the floor because when I saw her and she was like, they're not animals. Why are you giving them like? I was looking at her like, you are in a ring. Why are you like trying to act all holier than thou? Like all of you are the same. And then when I realized that she was actually also a victim, and when she made that decision at the end to betray her husband, oh my god, that was such a shocking scene for me. And I was so impressed by how the story was able to show how a victim can also become a perpetrator. I really enjoyed watching like a mixture of cultures and religion in this movie because I know that there are so many other religions in the world and in the country, but we had like a good representation of both Muslim and Christian. And both the Muslims and the Christians in this movie had good characters and bad characters. I think the writers went out of their way to emphasize that this evil is not just perpetrated by one set of religious people, that anybody could be a part of it. And I think it was a very sort of a nice message to send, not to demonize a certain religion or a certain tribe for something like this. We got a special guest appearance from Latif Adedimeji. He has such range, and I'm so impressed. Watching him play the pastor, the crazy pastor that has been buying, body parts, for me was crazy. Now, this is one part of the movie that did not make sense to me as well. He was buying body parts and keeping them in a fridge that wasn't even frozen. I don't know. It was never really said what he wanted to do with those body parts. Like, I don't. That part I think really left me confused.
Yeah, and at the end scene when they sent in only two police officers, I was like, waiting with this. How could you how could you have sent only two police officers to like this type of, you don't even know how many kidnappers are there and you sent only two people? Chelsea.
One thing I want to say about this movie is that the cinematography was so beautiful. The person that scouted location for this movie needs a raise because they did the Lord's work on this thing. There was a point where Gozie was running from the kidnappers and he got to this river and they had this beautiful aerial shot of the river of where Gozie could not run any further and it was shot so beautifully. When they zoomed out of that river, I almost melted. I was like, damn.
Yes, and the intro score, that intro music when they zoom into the church, I think that was such a beautifully shot scene. And the music, the soundtrack of that scene, I think it was so stunning. And another thing I want to say, I really love the fact that they used a Catholic church to shoot the wedding scene because again, I've not watched a lot of Nollywood movies, but I haven't really seen like a lot of like, Catholic church, just used casually in the shooting of a wedding scene. I thought it was really nice. When Adama actually ended up going to the police station, and the scene that I loved was immediately after that scene where she took her umbrella, the green, white, green umbrella, and she walked away in the rain. It was like chef's kiss shot, and then the blur fades out, and then you can see the Nigerian flag. It's giving my country. Why are you doing this to me? I love that shot. The person that came up with that idea.
The keys to the city, and your lawyer and your Uber driver gets a 2 week all expense paid trip to Barbados.
There were a lot of standout themes to me in this movie, and I think there was loyalty as well. Um, Gozier showed a ridiculous amount of loyalty for Darren in this movie because I did not believe in my lifetime that they will release Gozier and he will say, I'm not living without Derry. That's crazy. Ha. Then when Derry sustained an injury and carried her on his back, Gozi, one thing I really liked about this movie was that the characters had both good and bad sides. You understand? You were able to tell like some people are not completely bad and some people are not completely good, right? And I think that really showed in Gozier's character from someone that stole money from his partner and did such a terrible thing. But then you kind of also understand that I think his wife had cancer as well. So, but he did. I'm not sure he knew about that cancer before he stole that money. I have to ask, like, what was his motivation for stealing that money? Some parts of the movie don't really add up.
One question I want to ask is that I don't know how the police found Ada's location where she was going to have that drop off. I don't know how they discovered it. It wasn't said. So some parts of the movie don't make sense. But the movie was so good, to be honest. I'm going to fully forgive. I forgive. There was a character Gado played by Adoka Abela. You guys, if I tell you that I hated the way this character died, it was so it was so fake. I feel like I was watching a parody when that character died because I'm like, what the hell is this? I did not like that part. I would rate this movie, The Herd, 8.3. I know my rating scheme seems random, but I promise it's not. I think it kind of is. I think it was a great watch. Honestly, if you are triggered easily, if you can't sit through this movie, I would understand because it was a whole lot for me as well. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.